You don't see the pills they take. You don't see the pain behind the red carpets. You don't see them crying alone in expensive hotel rooms, wondering if their bodies will hold out for one more performance. But it's happening right now. 50 celebrities are fighting for their lives. Some are nearing the end. And most of the world has no idea. The spotlight makes you invincible, or at least that's what we're told. But the truth is far darker. Fame is a spotlight that blinds you to your own mortality, until one day a doctor says something that changes everything forever. Take Tom Hanks, the American sweetheart, the everyman hero we've watched for decades. He maintains that healthy glow, that perfect smile. But behind the scenes, he's managing type 2 diabetes. Every single day. It doesn't care that he's famous. It doesn't care that he's beloved. The disease requires strict discipline, constant vigilance, and a schedule that doesn't stop. Even America's favorite actor is not immune. But what about the invisible pain? The chronic ache nobody talks about? Morgan Freeman, the deep-voiced narrator of our lives, the embodiment of strength and wisdom. Audiences have listened to his voice for decades, trusted it completely. But in 2008, a horrific car accident changed everything. Nerve damage in his left hand, fibromyalgia that never leaves, intense, relentless pain that most people will never understand. He wears a compression glove almost everywhere, wrestling with discomfort that's become his permanent companion. And yet, he keeps acting, keeps going, keeps pretending everything's fine while suffering in silence. That's the real heroism nobody sees. Then there's Jack Nicholson. The piercing eyes, the mysterious smile that once captivated millions. But he's withdrawn from public life almost entirely. His disappearance has sparked dark whispers, memory loss, dementia, possibly Alzheimer's disease. A once great talent living in seclusion, pushed into the shadows by an invisible enemy. This is what nobody wants to talk about. This is what happens when time and illness catch up with even the most legendary among us. But the stories get heavier from here. George Clooney, charming, talented, the man who made hearts flutter, faced a silent battle that almost took his life. Meningitis, a condition that kills without warning. A near-death experience that he survived, but not without leaving deep imprints. Scars you can't see. He overcame it and continued his career, but that moment taught him something nobody else can understand. Even the most famous are not exempt from mortality. Any moment could be the one that changes everything. Michael Douglas fought throat cancer, a public battle that forced him to confront fear and vulnerability in front of the world. The disease left its mark, transformed him into a symbol of resilience. But resilience comes at a cost. The lingering haunting never truly disappears. Then came the day that shook everyone. Bruce Willis, the action star, the immortal die-hard hero, was diagnosed with aphasia in 2022, a condition that stole his words, his communication, his ability to connect with the world. But it didn't stop there. In 2023, it progressed to frontotemporal dementia, a cruel disease that's gradually stealing his memories, his abilities to interact, his sense of self. The man who thrilled audiences with explosive action scenes was forced to retire. His family announced it to the world. There would be no more films, no more performances. His career, his legacy, his contribution to cinema ended not with a final role, but with a medical announcement. The audience lost a legend. Bruce Willis lost everything. And this is where the stories shift. Because some battles are not just about time or accident. Some are about the body turning against itself. Selena Gomez is a survivor of lupus, a devastating autoimmune disease that attacked her from within. She didn't just battle the physical illness, she also endured multiple hospitalizations and complications that nearly took her life. In 2017, she underwent a kidney transplant. Her close friend, Francia Raisa, donated an organ so that Selena could survive. Let that sink in. A friend gave part of themselves so another friend could live. But the battle didn't end there. Beyond the physical devastation, Selena also carries severe anxiety and depression, a dual psychological burden that's equally exhausting. She's spoken publicly about her struggles, but the fight never stops. Behind the beautiful face and the music career is a woman constantly wrestling with her own body, never knowing when the next crisis will come. Hugh Jackman had something most men his age never face: skin cancer. Multiple times. Each recurrence is a reminder that the danger is always there, lurking, waiting for another chance to strike. The surgeries and treatments left scars on his body and in his soul. A superhero in movies, a silent warrior against disease in real life. Celine Dion's case is heartbreaking in a different way. The voice that conquered the world, the voice that made millions feel something profound, was her most precious gift. But stiff person syndrome took that away. A rare neurological condition so devastating that every movement became agony. Her voice, the thing that made her immortal, is now something she struggles to produce. The stage queen lost the ability to perform. Can you imagine that? Imagine having your greatest gift stolen by a disease nobody's ever heard of. Bruce Willis and Celine Dion taught us something terrifying. Illness doesn't care about your talent, your fame, or your legacy. It takes what matters most. Michael J. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's at just 29 years old. Picture that. A young man on top of the world, fresh from Back to the Future, with everything ahead of him. Then a thunderclap. The diagnosis hit like lightning, and his entire life changed. He kept it secret for years, fighting privately. When he finally revealed it in 1998, he transformed his pain into purpose. He created the Michael J. Fox Foundation and became a leading advocate for research. His optimism is legendary. But the truth is darker. His life remains a relentless struggle. The cruel disease is gradually robbing him of his flexibility, his control, his physical autonomy. He's spent decades fighting an enemy that never surrenders. These are the warriors we don't see on screen. Val Kilmer fought throat cancer. The devastation of chemotherapy and a tracheostomy changed him in ways most people can't imagine. His voice, the masculine, powerful voice that made him an icon, was taken from him. The man who thrived on his voice now struggles with every word. And yet, he keeps working. He uses AI technology to recreate his voice for recent projects. He refuses to disappear. But some of these battles come with a cruelty that feels almost deliberate. Tim Curry, the legendary star of Rocky Horror Picture Show, an icon of flamboyance and explosive energy, suffered a massive stroke in 2012. In an instant, everything changed. Motor skills gone, confined to a wheelchair. The image of this once monumental figure, now limited by physical devastation, remains a haunting sight for those who remember him in his prime. He still appears publicly. He still does voiceover work. He refuses to surrender. But the cost is visible, undeniable, and heartbreaking. Wendy Williams was once the voice of television, dominating talk shows with confidence and charisma. She had it all. Then came the diagnoses: Graves' disease, lymphedema, and then the cruelest blow of all: early-onset dementia in 2023. Her cognitive abilities declined rapidly. She's been under legal guardianship since 2022. withdrawn from the public in despair. The star who once controlled the television waves now struggles to control her own mind. It's a tragedy that most people don't even know about. And there are those whose battles came too soon. Christina Applegate is fighting a double war. First, she survived breast cancer. She thought she'd won. Then came multiple sclerosis, MS, a disease that attacks the nervous system, stealing mobility piece by piece. The dynamic woman who made us laugh is now struggling with every movement. Every step is a battle. Every performance is a victory against her own body. But she continues. She fights. She refuses to disappear. These 50 celebrities represent something we desperately need to understand. They're not invincible. They're not protected by wealth or fame or talent. They're human beings, just like everyone else, watching their bodies betray them, watching their minds slip away, watching their gifts, the very things that made them legendary, get stolen by forces they can't control. Because the truth about fame is this: it makes you think you're untouchable, until you're not. It isolates you from reality, until reality breaks through the door and reminds you that you're mortal. The standing ovations fade, the lights dim, the cameras move on to the next story, the next star, the next moment of scandal or success. But in quiet rooms, in hospitals, in wheelchairs, these 50 celebrities are still fighting. They're still suffering. They're still human. Some of them have become advocates. They've used their platforms to raise awareness, to fight stigma, to help others understand what they're enduring. Michael J. Fox, Selena Gomez, Christina Applegate, they've transformed their pain into purpose. They're teaching us that illness isn't shameful. It's not a sign of weakness. It's simply part of the human condition, and it spares no one. Others have chosen silence. The pain is too private, too personal, too devastating to share with a world that wants to believe in their invincibility. But here's what matters. These are not sad stories about broken celebrities. They're stories about resilience. They're stories about people who face the absolute worst that the human body can throw at them. And they kept going. They kept fighting. They transformed tragedy into something meaningful. The question we need to ask ourselves is simple. Will we forget about them now? Will we move on to the next celebrity scandal, the next piece of gossip, and ignore the real war being fought behind the scenes? Or will we remember that these people we admired, these people who made us laugh and cry and feel something profound, are suffering silently? The spotlight blinds us, but maybe it's time to look closer. Maybe it's time to understand that fame doesn't save you. Talent doesn't protect you. Money doesn't guarantee you health or longevity or peace. What it does guarantee is that when everything is taken away, you have to keep living. You have to keep fighting. You have to find meaning in the darkness. These 50 celebrities remind us of something we all know, but desperately try to forget. Life is fragile. Health is fragile. Time is fragile. And the body we take for granted today could be our enemy tomorrow. But it's in that darkness that the real strength emerges. Not in the films, not in the performances, not in the accolades, but in the quiet, private battle against an invisible enemy. That's where true heroism lives.